Merry Christmas, you're a cunt. It was Christmas Eve on the bucket. The whole day would be long. We just knew it was going to be. Our production manager at the time was a balding Dutchman with no sense of humour. He was a work-shy workaholic, if that made sense. He would sit on his arse all day, especially during the busy Christmas cruise, and dish out pointless jobs in between real jobs. This was my Christmas Eve schedule. Christmas Eve morning, Catholic Mass. Well, that was a legitimate job. Pulp presentation 1, legitimate. Pulp presentation 2, legitimate. Go to the after lounge and dust down the racks. Yeah, that's bullshit. Lunch hour reduced to 25 minutes. Oh, wow. Go to deck 14 and edge out to the poolside lights. Well, that was another bullshit job because I said I'd do that 3 days ago and he said no, it was a bad idea, and then this bad idea turns out to be you do it now when time is short. Return to the theatre and do pulp presentation 3. Yeah, that's a legitimate job. Go to the atrium and change the CD in the stereo. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. That could be done by anyone. Spare dancer, they could have been asked to do it. Could be the production manager, could be the entertainment manager or an entertainment host. Didn't matter. Could have been anyone other than me. But no, it was given to me. Run back to the theatre and then finish the setup of the production Christmas show, which yet again is a legitimate job. Tech run a production Christmas show, yeah, that was a legitimate job. Build shelves backstage, bullshit. That could be done anytime, it didn't have to be on the busiest period. Why would you do that? Clear the piano from the stage in the cinema, ready for the film. Yeah, that was bullshit. There's enough crew to do that. You didn't need me, acting like a member of Hounslow Council, 10 men standing around a hole and one person actually doing it. There was no need for me to be there. Set the gyro up in the main bar. Yet again, that was a bullshit job because that's taking more time out of my break time, and especially it being dinner time. Show 1, which is legitimate, only after having half hour for my dinner. Then I had to go and change the CD in the atrium again. Yet again, a bullshit job. Could have been anyone else but me. Set the microphone in a nightclub for a quiz. Oh, yet again, that's bullshit. The microphone should be in position and patched, ready to go for the entertainment host who's doing the quiz to just turn the volume up. Show 2, which yet again is another legitimate job, though I only had 20-minute break between shows where I was actually scheduled to have an hour, and then strike the Christmas show straight away. Now, I'm not bitching about the workload per se, but what I was mainly bitching about was the fact that this Dutch cunt could have helped out by taking some of the bullshit jobs himself. It wasn't just me that had the shitty extra jobs, we all did. The noise boy, Quebec, had just as many extra jobs as did the stage boys and stage crew. But this Dutch cunt just stayed in the office pretending to do some work on the computer and not helping his boys out like any other production manager would do. All was going to plan until we got to the end of the technical rehearsal. This is when the shit would hit the fan. The production manager graced us with his presence and called us all together. The captain has just announced us into a red level, so that those of you who don't have jobs to do will start off with cleaning down the armrests of the chairs with the Virox, which is a strong antibacterial cleaning agent. When everyone has done their jobs, they must come back here and help out, he said. I cut right in, hold up mate. That's housekeeping's job, not ours. But housekeeping's busy, so I said we will help out, he said. We're all busy, mate. Especially as you've given us bullshit jobs that could have been done yesterday. I left until we were quiet, I snapped. Well, it's done. I've already told them that we will do it, he said. I snapped. You said we. Does that include you? All the boys looked at me and Quebec let out a laugh. I'm a manager, said the Dutch cunt. Well, I jumped back in with, well, you'll have to manage without me if you don't join in. You're breaking the law over breaks. If you help, I'll help. If not, I'm going for dinner after I move the piano and set the band. I'll let you make your decision whilst I'm doing my charming bullshit jobs. I walked out of the theatre without letting the Dutch cunt say another word. The piano move was a piece of piss. I just slid it across the stage and onto the stage left wing. got the ratchet strap and secured the piano to the wall across the stage and pressed the button to lower the cinema screen. Once the screen was in position, I double timed it to the band setup and helped the crew member set up the electric piano, an amp and 2 microphones. It was really a one-man job. Fuck knows why that cunt wanted me to help out with this one. Once the duo was set up, I took a slow walk back to the theatre. I was gobsmacked. The Dutch cunt actually had a bucket in his hand. Was he really going to help out? I went to find out. I walked over to the production manager and the boys to see what was going on, as there was a whole lot of standing around and no action. "Have you guys done it already?" I said. "No, we're waiting for gloves," said the production manager. "Fuck the gloves," I said. I snatched a bucket and grabbed a handful of cloths and made a start. By the time I had finished my first row, the production manager came up to me and said, "You don't want to be touching that stuff without gloves." "I've stuck my hands into worse things," I snapped. "Besides, I'm hungry and I want to go on a break. So if you leave me to it, I'll finish this block, then I'm going to grab something to eat." I carried on wiping down the armrest, one cloth wet and the other cloth dry, just so I could get the water off. By the time I had finished my block, the gloves had just arrived. I returned the bucket to the production manager and showed him my hands. "If you read the bottle," I said, "this stuff is only harmful when it's not diluted correctly." I walked out of the theatre and I went down to the mess to grab some food. As I loaded up my plate with the doughy leftovers, I looked at the time. I had to be in position in 10 minutes. I shoveled down as much food as I could in 5 minutes flat, with a bad case of heartburn, and I left the mess and had a brisk walk back to the theatre. The show went well, and was well received by the passengers. As the majority of the passengers on the bucket were pensioners, the queue to exit the theatre was huge. I slid out of the control room and went into the production office, where there was a ladder down to the undertorium. I climbed down and made my way through this labyrinth till I came out into the crew area, which led me to the M1, which is a long corridor that services the whole length of the ship. I walked to the midship stairwell and made my way to the atrium control point and changed the CD. I then ran up to the nightclub and set the microphone for the quiz. I then ran down to the crew bar. When I arrived at the bar, there wasn't a queue, so I went up and ordered 2 double vodkas and a pint in a pint glass and a can of Red Bull and 8 tins of beer. I opened up the tin of Red Bull and tipped it into the vodka. I crushed the can in my hand and threw it in the bin. I walked into the smoking room, lit a cigarette and began to swig heavily for my drink. As soon as my cigarette was finished, I lit another and then another till my drink was finished. I took a look at the time and it was nearly time to return to the theatre. I grabbed my 8 beers and returned to the theatre. Quebec was already at his sound desk. He looked at me as I walked in. He looked at those beers. I looked at him back and then tossed him a 4-pack. "It's Christmas, fucker," I said as I cracked open a beer. I chugged it down, then crushed the can and tossed it under my desk. I put my headset on and opened up my mic channel. "Is everyone backstage?" I said. One by one, everybody checked in. I looked at the time. It was 15 minutes till the show went up. "Okay, Quebec and I are coming backstage. Everyone meet us stage left," I said. I removed my headset and grabbed Quebec. "Quick meeting backstage," I said. Quebec was baffled, but he followed me out of the auditorium and backstage. We were all stage left except that cunt production manager. He would join us backstage in his automation possession dead in 5 minutes before the show. "Because we're short of time, I'm only going to say this once," I said. "Depending on how Cockbrain acts during this show, if I say the following phrase on comms, everyone will have to grab a reel of gaffer tape. Now the key word is, I never masturbate on a Sunday morning." Everyone looked at me. With everyone armed with gaffer tape, we are going to cocoon this cunt in gaffer tape, floor him and tape him to the revolve, I said. "We won't do it straight away as we have to strike the set, so when it's time, I'm going to say frog him. That's when we do it." All the boys and even Cupid looked at me. "Don't worry guys, you won't get into trouble. Trust me," I said. I left backstage with Quebec and Toe. We went back to the control room and took our positions ready to start the show. The show was going well, the audience was singing along, it was great. There was a good vibe from the boys as we were all joking over the comm system. Quebec and I were secretly chugging away at our beers. I would say we were doing pretty well. The show was due to finish in about 15 minutes, then I broached the subject of the plan for the strike. "Once we strike the show, we will be building the majority of the next production show, then we will set up the church downstage," the production manager said. The stage manager, Goa, pleaded, "But there isn't a production show for another 2 days. We can do half tomorrow and finish it off on Boxing Day whilst we're docked." "That's an excellent idea," I said enthusiastically. "I would even forgo shore leave on Boxing Day so we wouldn't need to touch it after tomorrow's show. Who's with me?" Everyone agreed, except the balding shitfuck Dutchman. No, we're doing it all tonight. But it's Christmas Eve, pleaded Goa once more. I've made up my mind, said the production manager. It'll be done tonight. There was a long silence on the comms, then I broke it with, here's some useless information for everyone. I never masturbate on a Sunday morning. All the crew began to laugh. The production manager didn't know what was going on, and he said, why did you share that with us? I replied, to lighten the mood you've set, Ebenezer. Is that Ebenezer Scrooge? Said the production manager. You got it in one, I said. So why have you likened me to Scrooge, he said. Well, putting it bluntly, at least Ebenezer let the bookkeepers put an extra shovel of coal on the fire, and then he eventually let them have Christmas Day off, I said. But we have to work Christmas Day, said the production manager. Yeah, well, no one is saying that we're not working Christmas Day, but if you didn't get my point, then I'll just shut up. If you didn't want to listen to an alternative solution that we presented to you, then your mind is made up. I closed off my comms, and no one said another word until the end of the show. The mood was quite toxic as we did the strike. The production manager's feeling generous for a change and assisted with the strike and the build. I looked at the time. The bar was going to close in 20 minutes, and we were nowhere near finished. I grabbed the junior stagehand and slipped him a £20 note. Take this, put it on your card, and run to the bar and get as many beers as you can, then bring them back to the theatre and hide it in the dressing room, I said. But what will the boss say? He said nervously. Don't worry about that, I said. I'll take the rap. You just say you are following my instructions. Just get back here as soon as you physically can, I said. The stagehand took the money and double-timed it to the bar. The stagehand had been gone and unnoticed by the production manager. The bar was now long closed, and it was nearly 2 a.m. If there was any life in the bar, it would have died off by now. As the build was nearing completion, I slipped a reel of gaffer tape to every crew member. We were on for the plan of retribution. Once everyone had a reel of tape, we began to form a group and circled the production manager. Frog him, I shouted. We all grabbed the production manager, and I bound his hands together whilst Kubak bound his feet together. The boy started to cocoon his body. Once he was fully restrained, we picked him up and lowered him onto the floor. He was screaming for help, so I taped his mouth shut. Then we dragged his squirming body to Revolve and began to tape him down to it. Goa started up the Revolve and put it on a slow rotation. I went to the dressing room and fetched the beers. As I returned, I tossed each crew member a tin, and we opened them up and began to drink. Whilst the production manager was still on a slow spin, we all had another drink, and I decided it was time that we had a chat with our boss. I nodded to Goa and he switched off the Revolve. I grabbed a chair from the stage right wing and walked over to the production manager, placed a chair down on the Revolve and sat down. Now, I said, things didn't have to go this way today, so chalk this down to a lesson learned. You made the whole team miss having a festive drink with the rest of the ship's crew. Not only that, all the boys from India and the Philippines are Catholic and missed out on the crew mass. Now, here is the score. Nothing is going to be said about this bout of horseplay, and everything will be forgotten about. After all, you wouldn't want word to get to head office that you lost control of your crew. They'll never let you be a production manager ever again. I paused. Now, I'm going to remove your gag, and you'll agree that nothing is going to happen to the boys and to myself. If you agree, we will release you, and you can have a drink with your boys as though nothing has happened. I removed the gag and the production manager agreed. We set him free and I tossed him a beer. We all grabbed another beer and had a bit of a laugh, and then we went to bed, ready for the busy day ahead.